What's up, my fellow writing addicts? I'm Marissa, and today we're going to talk about how to make a good character. Because we hear a lot about how to identify a bad character, but no one kind of talks about how to make a good one. So here I am. So the first things first is that you have to do, and you have to do it, is make a character profile. Now, what's in a character profile is their name, age, appearance, backstory, strengths, weaknesses, fears, and occupation. Yes, you need all 8. I didn't count for no reason. You can also add their education, where they live, and maybe their race and ethnicity, I can speak English, if you feel the need to. Also, depending on what genre you're in, you can add other cool things. Like for fantasy, do they use magic? What type? What are the limitations? Is it a romance? What are their turn-on and turn-offs? Those are important. Please add those. The next thing they absolutely need to have is a personality. Can't be a cardboard cutout or an outline. You can't Bella Swan it. And I'm sorry, Hollywood, you can't just have a few loose jingles of a personality to kind of pass off as one. It doesn't work. Thank you for the sound effects, Haley.
You're welcome.
So how do you get a personality? Typically, there's a ton of questionnaires online. You can find some that are a page long to 500 pages long. I'm sure it exists. Go through, answer some base questions like, what are their likes and dislikes? What do they want to do with their lives? What are they afraid of? General stuff like that. And boom, you have a person. So the next thing you should have for your character is agency. Essentially, your character has to be active and move the story along. They can't be watching it us, the readers. They're actually part of it. They need to touch it. Now, the only exception to this is that sometimes it's okay for your character to be passive, but you need to be careful with this. I'm going to essentially, if you haven't watched or read The Hunger Games, sorry. You've had your time. In it, sometimes Katniss can be passive. My main example is when she's in the actual Hunger Games themselves. She doesn't actively go out and fight the other tributes. Her main thing is that she tries to survive. So in that way, she can kind of be passive. But she does take action when she has to, and especially when Peeta is in trouble. Then she goes to find him. So it's okay for your characters to sometimes be passive, but make sure you understand their motivations and their values. So that way you know when they feel the need to act versus when they feel the need they can be, a little bit in the background. It's a tightrope to walk, so be very careful with it. So one thing that I think every character definitely needs is a motivation. It's essentially what drives them. I touched on it a little bit in agency, but we're going to go a lot of it here. Essentially, a motivation is a want. It is what drives the character throughout the story. And you will see 2 types. You have the current wants, which is, it's raining, I want to get out of the rain, I'm hungry, I need food, shelter, whatever have you. I'm naked, I need clothes. It's the now need. But then you have your super objective or your overarching want, such as, I want to destroy the Demon Goat King. Or, I want to have world peace. Whichever one.
Something you need to tell me, Marissa?
One's a little more important, I'm just saying.
Should I hide?
From the Demon Goat King, yes, Haley, gosh.
Do you want to live delicious?
I hate you! I don't know. He's staring at you. Moving on. Regardless, all of your current wants should be all driven towards that overarching. I need to get out of the rain and find shelter because I'm on my journey to do whatever I need to do. You already know what I want to do, but we're not going to stay on that topic. So, essentially, at the end of the day, people only talk or act to get what they want. People ask, hey, pass me the salt because they want the salt or they want to be salty and make you move. Either way. Either way, thank you, Haley. I'm glad to make you laugh. They're only acting / talking to get something they desire. Keep that to it and you'll find that you have just a great old time trying to hammer in what they want and their desires. So next up is conflict, because how can you have a book without conflict? I don't know, and I don't want to know, because that just sounds like a bad time. So, there are 2 types of conflict, I'm sure you've heard of it. There's internal, I want to do something, but maybe I shouldn't, versus external, I want to do something, but he doesn't want me to.
Or she, don't
Or
be
she,
sexist.
or they, I don't assume, or it, I don't know, maybe you have
A dog.
a dog that's nah man, fuck you.
Hey man, look, dogs though, sometimes.
Okay, it wouldn't be dogs, it'd be geese.
Or cat. Those lovable bastards. Or bitches.
I don't know.
But I guess that wouldn't be the right term because they're cats.
Don't know, Haley.
This is derailed.
The more you know. But regardless, you're going to have the two. I always like to mix the two a little bit, have a little bit of internal versus a little bit of external. Essentially, you have the bad guy, or woman, or whatever you have, you bad entity. And then you have the, am I doing the right thing on the side? Because I just like to balance it. I think it's a lot of fun, but experiment with what you want. As long as you have at least one of them, we're good. Another type of conflict is going to be a character arc, because your character cannot be the same from point A to point B. I don't care if they just reaffirm their beliefs, they have to go through a doubt period and reaffirm stronger than ever, because if they were totally ironclad, they wouldn't go through the change at all. So please try to plan out through the book where you want your character to end up, especially if you have a series, because then you have a longer time to hit those beats. And plus you can do a lot more with it. You can transform your character in a few ways. So, have fun with it. Next up is connecting to other characters. They gotta have a connection. And I don't give a damn if they're just stuck in an island alone. They didn't just grow up without any other human connection or some type of other connection. Have a connection to a pineapple volleyball named Wilson. I don't care. A dog. Their favorite tree. We're humans. We make connections with everything. If we saw a puma, our first thought is kitty, pet it. They have to have connections. And especially if they did have a past, what was it? Who did they love? Parents, siblings, something, anything. Give me anything, please. It is just valuable for their backstory. It makes them seem human. Definitely vital.
And it doesn't have to be a good connection either.
Yeah, it can be negative or whatever. I don't care. Give me something. Give me a juicy. I don't care. Another thing your character definitely has to have are flaws. Plural, please. Books and movies tend not to do them so well. They just come off as small quirks, really, and I hate that. But you can't have essentially a perfect character. That's why you have the Gary Stu and the Mary Sue being hated as much as they are. People don't like perfection. It's boring. We want to see their flaws. We want to see how they either overcome them or handle them. Because some flaws just don't go away. I've been clumsy my whole life. Haley knows it. She still carries on band-aids for me because I run into everything, guys.
Everything.
We went on a trip, but I scraped my knee on the Mayan temple. Started bleeding. It's just how it works. And I don't see that in books, so I'm a little bitter, but hey. But essentially, your characters have to have flaws. It gives them a bit more personality, makes them very relatable, and just makes it have a lot of fun. One tip, if you can't figure out a way to give your character a flaw, is taking a strength and turning it into a weakness. Such as, if your character's super kind, make them self-sacrificing. If they're super brave, make them reckless. It's kind of a nice, kind of different way of treating flaws, is that you take the strengths and you just amp it up to a flaw level. And it might help, and it might be different, and it might be fun. So the next thing that your character should have is a distinct voice. I need to tell these bitches apart, because you're not going to want to say who said what, especially if it's a two-person conversation. That's annoying. And you're going to want to just blurt out whatever they're saying. But if they sound too similar, I'm going to get lost. And that's not okay. Because when a person gets lost, they get confused. And if I can't figure out who's talking, I'm just going to get mad and put down the book. Add a little speech thing. One character I saw kept saying seriously at the end of stuff. Hey, I know you're cringing, but it's true. But no one talks the same. Everyone's got little quips and quirks, and some people talk in a rambling way. That's me. Some people talk slowly. Just find a way to make your characters distinct. It'll add to their personality. Maybe it goes into their backstory. You can do a lot with it. The next thing is that your characters need to have mysteries and secrets. I like to say that no one is an open book, but the best ones are in a jar door, because you kind of see what's inside, but you don't see the whole picture, and it makes you like, ooh, I kind of want to go in there. I kind of want to know what's there. And it just entices readers to keep coming in. It's like, yes, yes. And as the book goes on, the door opens little by little. If it's a series, take that even slower. Or have it be maybe a multi-layered hallway. Regardless, it's always a lot more fun to know a little bit of a character and learn about it as you go along versus a dump of information at once. One thing that you cannot leave out whatsoever with your characters is consistency. In that, if your character is like, let's say, 16 at the beginning of the book, you can't then, at the end of the book, be like, okay, sweetheart, what do you want to do when you turn 16 next week? That happened once. Like 3 times in the book. That was consistent in that it was inconsistent, but hey, whatever. So essentially, that is what that character profile is for. It's that way you don't mess up their age. They don't go from blonde to brunette in the middle. They don't go from super tall to super small. They stay kind of the same throughout it. If they get a new scar, cool, that stays on as well. But they don't lose like their tattoo on their right shoulder. That's my left. My right shoulder. Apologies. I don't know left or right anymore. It's a problem. Moving on. At least that's consistent. Another thing that they should have are small quirks. Essentially, there's like little bits of their personality that stand out a bit. One thing I gave one of my characters is her love of marshmallows. It's just one thing that she always looks for. She's very excited when her boyfriend gives it to her. It's kind of one way to bribe her. I've heard of characters like always looking for a certain type of tea, maybe like Earl Grey. It's just little things that we always do. But you can't Shyamalan it. AKA, that can't be their sole defining trait. We all know, like think of any Shyamalan movie. We all know one character that stuck out with us. Mine was the guy who only worked out the right side of his body for some reason. And they never gave a reason, none that I remember. One other guy that stuck out to me was from The Happening, that's the hot dog guy. What was up with the hot dog guy? I don't know. I don't think Shyamalan did. But he just liked hot dogs, and that's all he talked about. That's not a personality, that's just weird. And bad. Please don't. It hurts me inside. So, to kind of wrap up this very odd video, is the last thing you should give to your characters to make them fantastic is a little bit of you. In that, you're human. You have very human experiences from your life. At least I hope you do. If you're an alien, please type that in the comments. I want to talk to you. That'd be cool. And when you give them a little bit about yourself, a little bit of experience, maybe the time you walk through a cool jungle and you write down like how you felt about it, or maybe a relationship is similar to one you have in real life. That gives your character a little spark of life. And it kind of just makes them a little more unique. And that's why I always try to give my characters a little bit of my personality. Sometimes I amp it up. I give them my temper and raise it a few stakes, or I'll lower it down. Stuff like that. Sometimes I'll give them my type of curiosity, because it's something that I can connect into the characters so I can get to know them better, so I can write them better. And I think that's just also really important, is getting to know your characters, and going through these steps will definitely help you try to figure them out. Well guys, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you know when the next video is coming out, and I'll see you then. Bye!